Welcome to I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here catch up, and today we've got a lot to talk about. We've got two teams, two new cast members, and a playoff that will see one team receive a luxury breakfast fit for the gods. Who wins? Well, you'll probably have to wait another couple of days to find that out. So, a couple of things that I just wanted to address before we move into sort of the main chunk of the episode. There was a really funny scene where everyone was taking the piss out of Nigel in the bath because he kind of just lays there naked and doesn't really care what gets put on show. And also, whenever someone stumbles upon him, they get the fright of their life seeing a naked Nigel Farage, which I don't think anybody wanted to see in their whole life. Also, I think it was Danielle, Nick, and somebody else were talking about how they like to have tea in the morning. So they leave a little bit of fruit from the night before, pop it in some hot water, and then they have like some almost herbal fruit infused tea, which I actually thought was quite smart. I don't think I would have thought of that, but it's good nonetheless. So, everyone was a little bit worried because they were heading off to face the trial together. So all 10 of them were going to be competing in the trial, but they were all kind of happy to be doing it together, but a bit worried because there wasn't a name for them to kind of get clues from. So they get to the SCARENA, and Ant and Dec explained they are going to be taking part in a bush tucker trial called Locker Shocker. And I gotta say, it's your bog standard get put in a sort of box, and you have to undo some locks, move some keys up a metal grating, and then pop them in a slot, and you win. It's something that we've seen before, and it's something that they like to bring out every couple of years, or they like to introduce into little trials every now and then, just to sort of mix it up and make it a little bit more difficult. With all 10 of them, I thought it was actually very entertaining because it was constantly a race. The only person that had absolutely no hope in hell was Grace, because she kind of just gave up, lost her keys multiple times, and just thought, fuck it, I can't be bothered. So just stood there and just didn't really compete. But I also don't think she was bothered about being part of the losing team. It was quite close at the top, I gotta be honest. Jamie Lynn was in the lead, as was Nella Rose, for like a long time. They were quite good. I thought Josie was in the lead at one point, and I thought she'd won, but then she didn't. So I was like, hang on a minute, what happened there? The editing was a little bit confusing because it made it look like Josie had got all 5 when she hadn't. But regardless, the third person out was Sam. And then it was... Who was next? It was Sam, and then it was Danielle. Danielle was next. And then the 5th person was actually Fred, which I thought was so funny because Nella's still not speaking to him. But also, him and Marvin had a genuine buzzer beater. Like, when I tell you there was a fraction of a second between when Fred put it in and when Marvin put it in. Marvin got his out first, but he dropped it before he could put it into the slot, which meant Fred overtook him. So that means that the winning team are Jamie Lynn, Fred, Danielle, Sam, and Nella Rose. And the losing team consisted of Josie, Nick, Grace, Marvin, and Nigel. I gotta say, very entertaining trial, actually. I was thoroughly entertained. It was a lot better than I thought it was going to be. And I think it was nice to just see the celebrities get gunked and have offal thrown on them, and just have them genuinely sifting through shit to like find keys and unlock their stars. I feel like my strategy for this would have been to try and unlock all the stars right at the start, and then I could just focus on pushing the stars up, because I feel like the one at a time strat was kind of preventing people from being able to remember what keys they had or what keys they'd used. So I feel like that kind of worked against them. So I'd probably be like, okay, this key I used for this, so I'm not going to use this key again. I've only got like 5 keys now for like 3 locks. That's helpful. So I think that would have helped me. Tough to say because I'm not in that situation. So maybe one day if I manage to make it into the jungle, if I do a Nella Rose and I end up in the jungle. But yeah, it was entertaining regardless. So it was time to bring in the coaches for the home and away team. Obviously, the home team was the winners. They get to go back to Croc Creek. And the losers have to go to Croc Creek and Snake. I can't remember what the other camp's called. But they have to go to the other camp. The other camp is notorious for being the one that's shit. They have to sleep on the floor. The shower's not great, but we'll get to that in a little bit. The 2 new celebrities are Frankie I actually don't know. Dettori. Frankie Dettori, that's his name. Because they made a joke about him being Dettori. And there's needed to be someone from the Labour Party. That was a very funny joke. That really caught me off guard, and I gotta hand it to Ant and Dec. Sometimes they have incredible jokes, and it catches me off guard. But yeah, so Frankie Dettori and Tony Bello. Yeah. Both of them seem like nice chaps. I gotta be honest, when they walked in, I think everybody kind of did the same. Oh, yeah, woo, woo. I don't think many people knew who they were. I certainly didn't know who either of them were, if I'm being 100% honest. But then I'm not ingrained in the sports world. I am not interested in sports at all. So I feel like I wouldn't have known a jockey and I wouldn't have known a boxer. So they were told that they're going to be competing in 2 different teams for the next couple of days, and the winners of the whole competition will get a luxury breakfast for their entire team once the final game is done, basically. So I gotta say, there's a lot riding on this. There's a lot on the line, and I think it's actually going to be a very, very interesting competition. The coaches were made to be put through a bush tucker trial. This one didn't have such a fancy name. I just kind of called it the testicle race because that's kind of what it was. There was an obstacle course, admittedly not a very big obstacle course or a very interesting one. However, the sports guys, Frankie and Tony, had to run backwards and forwards with testicles in their mouth. Honestly, you can't make this up. They were pig's testicles. And when I tell you they were huge, I was looking at them like they were they looked like almost like chicken breasts that you get in like the packets from like Sainsbury's or whatever. They were huge. I did not realise that pigs had such big testicles. That's also something I never thought I'd say. So I guess we're also, yeah, that was odd. I won't lie. But anyway, the point still stands that I feel like this was actually a very entertaining trial. The only issue is that Frankie was a lot quicker than Tony by like a considerable amount. And like I feel like Frankie was trying to slow down to sort of help Tony catch up, but yeah, it was a bit of a foregone conclusion as soon as Frankie cleared the first one before Tony had even got halfway across the obstacle course. I was like, oh, okay, so Frankie's won this. Frankie's going back to the main camp. Oh. So I feel like with things like this, it wasn't actually that close. Frankie's a smaller lad, Tony's a bit of a bigger lad, and so obviously they took longer to get over the obstacles. It's fine. Like I said, it was a foregone conclusion, but they headed back to the camps, and I gotta say, there was a lot of change. So it's time to talk about the changes in camp. In the main camp, Croc Creek, it was very, very interesting to see that they've now like sort of backed in a tour bus almost, which I thought was quite funny. And it seems like in previous years we've had like a lodge or we've had I don't even know what we've had. I feel like it's always kind of like a lodge or like a room that's like got a bed in it. Whereas this time it's like a tour bus, but like it's completely locked off from the outside world. So that basically means no bugs are getting in, which I gotta say is such a great advantage in this game. Oh my god. The only problem is that Frankie's the only one that's allowed to sleep in there. Otherwise, I think they'd all have been sleeping in there. I don't think anyone would have slept in the camp. I think they'd have taken the floor. They would have taken the seats. They would have taken the driver's seat. I don't think they would have cared. They would have slept inside. But it is what it is. The tour bus was actually quite cool. There's also like like lockers for each of them, and they all have like t-shirts as well that have their like home team on. And then there's like a wall of fame wall with all their pictures on, which was quite cool. I thought that was quite nice. So yeah, a lot of sort of cosmetic differences to the camp. Nothing that's really changing the game apart from the tour bus. And then we head to Croc Creek. Not Croc Creek. Fuck, is it Snake Den or like Snake? The Snake Camp. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember. It's been a long time. They were not happy. Oh, it's tough. It's tough. When you go from like Croc Creek, which is already quite basic, and then you go to the snake place. Oh, it's hard. It really is because like they're sleeping on the floor. The shower is a bucket of water and they have to get someone to like feed water down like a funnel so they can have a shower. And especially after they've just been gooped and gunked on, that was cruel. That was not fair. That was not nice to like shove them into that place. Oh, but it was also very, very funny to see Josie being like, "It's inhumane. I can't believe it. What's going on? That's not a shower." It was really, really funny, actually. I think Josie, the more time that goes on, the more I'm like, Josie's got to win this. If Josie doesn't win this, I'm going to be disappointed. And, like, it was, for the first couple of days, it was Nella Rose's favourite to win. But Josie's been consistently lovely, and she's also been consistently funny. She's always coming out with one-liners, always coming out with hilarious things that just make me chuckle. Like a couple of episodes ago when she was like, "I like to look good, but if I want to look crusty, I look proper crusty." So yeah, I think that the snake people are doing all right. They're not doing too badly, but it's not a great place to live. I'll give them that. Just quickly before we get into the first playoff, I just wanted to talk about Frankie and Tony because they were they got a little bit more screen time to sort of explain their careers. Frankie explained his, and I gotta be honest, I was barely listening. It was quite boring. But it seems like Jamie Lynn found it very, very interesting as well, so that's good. And then Tony was talking about his career, and I found myself very interested because he mentioned how he won like the world championship or whatever. It was like a world title, but he was still living paycheck to paycheck from his fights. Like they were very, very far away from financial security. And then he fought with David Haye and he made a lot of money, fought him again, made a lot more money, and fortunately he got his break and won. Like I got a lot of money from competing with this. Then conversation turned to David Haye's throuple, which was a baffling conversation. I don't really have much to add apart from speculation, but it was just very interesting that they brought that up. David Haye was in the jungle at some point. Was it 2010? Was he in with like Stacey Solomon and Shaun Ryder, or am I making that up? I don't know. He was definitely in one of the years, but I can't remember which year, and he came third. I think it was 2010. But anyway, so it was very interesting. I think Tony's actually a very, very interesting character. He's very funny. He's got some hilarious sort of just sort of things that he does, like when he was eating the rice and beans later that night, and he was like, "I'm not eating that," spat it out. That was quite funny. But yeah, I'm not warming to Frankie yet because like he hasn't done anything that's made me go, "Oh, that's yeah, lovely." But like Tony, I am warming to slowly. I I still think it would have been nicer to not have a season with sports people in, but it is what it is. Do you know what I mean? So they had to compete in the first playoff of the sort of, I don't know, this competition. I don't know. It feels like they haven't really explained this properly. But the first playoff was not as bad as I thought it was going to be. I think I would have been really bad at it because I've just got very, very bad aim when it comes to sports. They had to they had to nominate two people. So from Croc Creek they chose Nella and Fred, which I thought was going to really end in tears. And from the other camp, they chose Marvin and Nick, I want to say. Yeah, it was Marvin and Nick. And one person had to sit on a dunk tank. The other person had to try and score hoops. But if they missed the hoops, the person got dunked. And I gotta say, it was actually quite entertaining to watch because they were good, but they also were quite poor at times. So everyone was getting dunked quite a lot. It got to a point where Fred was chucking his ball at the other team's net to dunk them and stop them from scoring, which was quite funny. It just seemed like it was a genuinely a fun challenge, and Nella commented on the fact that the water was clean, so she didn't mind getting dunked because it was actually fresh and it was lovely. There was no crocodiles in there, which was good. But yeah, it was fun to watch actually. Would I have rather not watched people play basketball? Yeah, probably. Like, it's not the most interesting thing in the world to me, but adding in the dunk tank element was genius, and I actually thought that worked quite well. So, you know what? Swings and roundabouts. They came home, and it turned out that the home team had won 41 baskets to 36, which... Oh, it's tough for the away team. The away team are just not on good stead. They're not on good grounds at the moment. I feel so bad for them currently. The public vote came in. You were voting for one person from both camps, and then one more person would be chosen from each camp to go join that person in the trial. The trial was called Touchdown of Terror. It looks complicated, and I feel like I didn't fully understand how the trial was going to work from the trailer. But then again, I'll wait until tomorrow to decide whether it's a good trial or not. It looks alright. It doesn't look terrible. And it's got promise. But then again, you've chosen Nella Rose to do it. Why have we chosen Nella Rose to do it? Of all the people in that camp, I really wish that Nella Rose had not been chosen. Because, like... We've seen her in trials. I'm a bit bored of it now. Do you know what I mean? Like, she actually did really well in Locker Shocker. She did not scream and shout and didn't do any of that. Like, she was actually quite reserved, almost. I feel like there were other people that were making a bigger fuss out of it. Or maybe I just wasn't identifying her noises as coming from her. But anyway, the other person that was up for it with her was Sam, but obviously Nella was the one that was chosen by the public. But Frankie kind of just went, yes, Sam, you can do it as well. So it looks like Sam and Nella are going to be doing the trial tomorrow. On the other side of things, in the other camp, it came down to Nigel and Grace. And I gotta tell you, I was shocked that Grace got picked by the public. I think it's purely because of how she reacted to the Locker Shocker trial and how she kind of just gave up. I really thought that it would be Nigel, but it wasn't. But I have a feeling that Tony's going to choose Nigel regardless, which is going to be a bit of a... I'd love Josie to do the trial, because I feel like I'd love to see her do an actual trial, not like a group one or whatever. But I have a feeling that Tony's going to go with Nigel, and we're going to have more Nigel for our screen time. Ah, okay, anyway. So yeah, that's a preview of tomorrow's episode. It was an hour and a half tonight. An hour and a half is very, very long, I gotta say. And I feel like that's because they're just trying to jam so much into it for no reason. Like, I don't know. I think it's because I've been so used to Big Brother being 1 hour, and 1 hour is simply not enough for Big Brother, especially when you're trying to cover 24 hours of conversations with people. But when you go into the jungle, it feels like they're doing the 24 hours, but like nothing's happening in that 24 hours but trials and the odd conversation. Whereas like with Big Brother, it was all conversation, then like the odd task. So I don't know. It's a weird balance to strike. I think it's just Big Brother has ruined my reality viewing for the year, and nothing is going to compare to it in 2023. Like last year, it was The Traitors, with The Mole being a close second. This year, Big Brother has swept me away. So like, who knows what 2023 is going to hold? Will it be Celebrity Big Brother? Will it be the main Big Brother? Will it be other reality TV shows? Who knows? But thank you guys very, very much for watching, and I will see you guys tomorrow for another I'm a Celeb catch-up, breakdown, whatever you want to call it. And I will see you guys then. Keep on ranting. Bye now.